They say the world tree holds the secrets of the gods. I only cared about the pay and the elven cleric who held my eye. Alluri called this a noble quest. I called it a date. Our client, Arian, met us at the ruined perimeter. An elf so ancient his skin was cracked leather and his spine curved like a question mark. He spoke in a voice brittle as dry bark about the world tree's dying heart and the heartwood gem that would save it. He stressed the profound antiquity of the mission and, crucially, explained that the gem could only be retrieved by those with strong, unblemished vitality, a quality, he added, that was now utterly lacking in the withered bodies of his own people. But my eyes were on Alluri. She caught my gaze and gave me a soft, prolonged smile that promised the reward would be greater than mere gold. I was sold, convinced I was the man she wanted to see succeed. We plunged into the root system immediately. The entrance was a crack in the earth, leading into tunnels of immense, knotted wood and cold, damp stone. It wasn't just dark, it was silent, a terrifying, absolute silence that seemed to swallow all sound. Valerius, our meticulous wizard, paused after just a few minutes, his hand tracing the rough-hewn surface of the tunnel wall. "This silence is profound," he murmured, his voice low. "It is not the quiet of nature conserving energy. It is the quiet of deep absence. I detect no minute vibrations, no residual fauna. All life energy appears to have simply fled from this place." Thordak, our dwarf, shivered despite his thick armor. "It's spooky, wizard. Means we won't hear the bandits coming or the spiders dropping from the ceiling." He kicked a loose pebble that landed with a dead, muffled thud. Alluri, ever graceful, glided past the big dwarf and took the lead. She wore a simple, sleeveless tunic beneath her armor plating, prioritizing agility over full coverage. "Thordak is right, Kiev. We must trust our senses, but let us not dwell on the gloom. This is a holy place, merely wounded." Her voice was a soothing balm against the pervasive dread. Our first discovery stopped us cold. An entire section of the wall was not root, but a gruesome gallery of wood statues. Previous, failed adventurers, frozen mid-scream, carved perfectly in blackened wood, integrated into the living wall. Thordak snorted, trying to mask his discomfort. "Well, that's depressing. Looks like the tree got tired of tourists." I tried to break the tension. "Looks like someone forgot to tip the guide, Thordak. Terrible posture, though." The dwarf's face darkened instantly. "Shut your clever mouth, Kiev. Some things ain't funny." I saw his short fuse ignite, but before it could fully flare, Alluri smoothly stepped in, drawing our eyes to the unsettling truth. "Focus. Their failure is simply a lesson in caution for us. We will not be caught unawares." We moved deeper, the air growing thick and unnaturally still. The tunnels narrowed, forcing us into single file. As Alluri navigated a tricky climb over a collapsed root structure, her simple tunic snagged slightly. As she reached the top, the fabric pulled taut against her shoulder and chest. In the torchlight, I saw the smooth, pale skin of her side, where the tunic had momentarily ridden up beneath the simple curve of her breastplate, granting a quickest glimpse over the swell of her underbreast. The sight, brief and unexpected, stole my breath and instantly filled my mind. I felt a surge of heat and devotion that had nothing to do with saving the world. She straightened, her movements fluid and utterly composed. But when she turned back to offer me a hand, her eyes met mine with a look that was deeply, intoxicatingly aware, a look that acknowledged my desire without breaking her serene composure. My heart hammered against my ribs. She knows I'm here for her, I thought, the intensity of that moment overriding everything else. My commitment to this noble mission cemented into unshakable loyalty. It was moments later that the true danger manifested. The tunnel ahead filled with flickering shadows, the root wraiths. They weren't solid, but vicious entities made of decaying, animated root fibers and malice, spiraling out of the deep black wood like angry smoke. They moved with unnatural speed, their touch not just cold, but draining, stealing heat and strength with every scrape. Their forms were vaguely humanoid, but their limbs ended in wicked, splintered claws. They moved with unnatural speed, their touch not just cold, but draining, stealing heat and strength with every scrape. Their forms were vaguely humanoid, but their limbs ended in wicked, splintered claws. The fight was sudden and brutal. Thordak reacted instantly, letting out a magnificent, furious bellow as he planted his feet. His heavy axe became a blur of motion, swinging in wide, powerful arcs that connected with sickening thwacks against the fibrous forms. Valerius, despite his scholarly nature, didn't panic. He chanted quick, sharp words, launching blasts of pure arcane force that ripped apart the wraiths trying to flank the dwarf. Meanwhile, I moved like a shadow, using my dagger to slash the fibrous anchor points of the wraiths trying to merge with the roots. But they were insidious and too numerous. One of the phantasmal claws slipped past Thordak's guard and raked viciously across his armored flank. The dwarf roared, not just from the pain of the impact, but from the sudden, chilling emptiness the touch left behind. The final wraiths dissolved back into the darkness. "Alluri, heal!" Thordak bellowed, staggering back slightly and clutching his side. His voice was laced with a genuine fear that cut through his usual bravado. Alluri quickly chanted a prayer, but instead of the vibrant, cleansing light of a full restoration, only a weak amber glow settled on the wound. It barely closed the tear in his armor, and the draining cold remained. Thordak shot her a look of confusion and deep frustration. Alluri immediately stepped forward, her expression a mix of urgency and regret. "Forgive me, Thordak," she said softly, her voice strained. "The blight here is so strong, Thordak. It is corrupting the divine channels, and actively diffuses the healing light, draining my reserves far more than it should. I need to conserve the full power of the divine for the gem itself." I immediately jumped in, my voice smooth and authoritative, placing a hand reassuringly on the dwarf's shoulder. "She's right, Thordak. The tree is fighting us. She's doing the best she can with what little she has. We need her power for the finale." The dwarf, mollified by her sincere apology and my defense, grumbled but nodded, finally accepting her explanation. He was satisfied. She was being responsible. I was satisfied. I was protecting her. We reached a massive sealed door, the threshold to the root core. It was banded in iron and covered in dense, spiraling runes. Valerius spent a lengthy, tense time working the translation, his brows furrowed in confusion. Finally, he straightened, his face pale beneath the torchlight. "The inscription is a warning," he announced, his voice thin. "It is extremely old and almost reads like a curse. It says, 'The heart is not a gift, but a prison. It is not a cure. It is fuel.' Furthermore, it references an ancient ritual of compelled life-binding." He looked directly at Alluri, truly perplexed. "This suggests the tree consumes life force, rather than generating it. This mission is far more sinister than Arion let on." Alluri went to him, her hand touching his arm with feigned sympathy. "It is the work of dark whispers, my dear Valerius," she assured him, her voice soothing as a river stone. "The dark forces want us to doubt the tree's power, to abandon the life that sustains the world. We must trust Arion." She then turned and placed her hand on my shoulder, giving me a long, warm look of expectation. "Focus on the noble work, Keave. We are almost there, and I trust you completely." The warmth of her hand and the weight of her trust overrode every word Valerius had spoken. The heavy door ground open, revealing the central core. The air was blindingly toxic, shimmering with unnatural energy. In the center, on a pedestal of fused root, sat the prize, the heartwood gem, pulsing with a toxic emerald light. Standing before it was the Guardian, an immense, serene statue of polished black wood. It didn't attack. It spoke, its voice profound, resonating with a deep, crushing sorrow. "Stop! Go back!" it pleaded. "The tree seeks only to survive, and survival through this cursed gem requires a terrible price. Do not sacrifice yourselves to the endless hunger." "A terrible price?" Alluri scoffed, her voice ringing with hard scorn. "This hateful brute wishes to see the whole world wither and die, Cave. It is a blasphemous obstacle that must be extinguished. Thordak, your strength is needed now. Punish this thing for its defiance." That was all the dwarf needed. He let out a magnificent, furious bellow and charged. The fight was immense, pure physical force against sorrowful, unyielding defense. The Guardian was too strong to be easily passed, designed only to block the path and push us back toward safety. Alluri raised her hands. Her composure momentarily slipped. Her eyes became wild. She spoke not a prayer, but a series of quick, vicious words in a language none of us knew. A ripple of crackling blue froze across the Guardian's wooden surface. It staggered, its voice letting out a pained, strained groan. "Go, my brave Cave!" Alluri cried, her lips pulled back in a look that was now pure, exhilarating triumph. "You are the quickest! We are counting on you to retrieve the heart!" Her urgency, her final command, was absolute. Thordak and Valerius surged forward with me. We reached the pedestal, my hands grasping the cold, crystalline surface of the glowing gem, ready to lift it and carry it to salvation. As my skin made contact, the light didn't feel cleansing. It felt like a vacuum. Then it flared instantly blood red. I heard a sound that was not a single scream, but a chorus, agonized, muffled, and immense, of every soul that had come before. A cold, crushing emptiness pulled the very breath and life from my lungs. My muscles froze. My witty retort, my final glance at Alluri, became a permanent feature on my face, the look of triumph. Alluri stepped toward the three new statues, her beautiful face serene, utterly cold, utterly victorious. She stroked my petrified cheek, her touch gentle but final. "Your vitality, Keave, was unmatched," she murmured, a trace of clinical satisfaction in her voice. "It will nourish the world tree for centuries. Your devotion, though misplaced, has served a far greater purpose than you could have ever known." She lifted the gem, now pulsing with a steady, deep crimson, and set it carefully into the indentation at the base of the roots. The entire chamber vibrated. A low, slow thump-thump echoed through the stone, the forced heart of the world tree beating anew. We completed the quest. We saved the world. But I realized, standing there, trapped for all time, we were never the heroes. We were just the fuel. The executioners were the ones we trusted, and she had smiled the whole way. And so the tale ends, not with triumph, but with silence. A reminder that not every quest is what it seems, and not every hero lives to tell the tale. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more dark journeys through myth and memory, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell, so you never miss the next descent into legend.